So are you having doubts as to whether or not you hired the right DUI lawyer, right? Like maybe you got the hairs on the back of your neck standing up, or you're kind of hanging up the phone with them going like, what? Well, if that's the case, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you the 8 red flags, 8 signs that we see. You know, I've handled thousands of DUI cases, and so I can kind of tell you off the top of my head what are some big red flags. I'm going to go into those in detail so you can make a decision for yourself whether or not you have got the right DUI lawyer on your side. And number 8 is if they don't start working on your case right away, that's probably a bad sign. You see, on a DUI, there's a pending license suspension most of the time. And you're on the clock. From the moment you get a DUI, you've got 45 days until your license gets suspended on the 46th day. That's typically how it happens in Illinois. And so when someone hires us, immediately we're going to file paperwork on that case because I don't want to be the cause of losing a day, right? We've only got 45 of them. I want all 45 to work with, preferably. Unfortunately, though, I see all of the time, I come in after cases to clean them up or whatever the case might be, and I see that just you lawyers burned a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a full month that they burned on that 45-day window, and it's just a sign that you've got, I'm just going to say it, you don't have a good DUI lawyer working for you. And the number 7 sign that you maybe hired the wrong DUI lawyer is that they just didn't ask you good questions in the original intake, right? In the original hiring process. I mean, they didn't ask if you have a commercial driver's license, like you drive a truck for a living. They didn't really dig into any past arrests or DUIs that you had. They didn't ask you about the standard field sobriety tests or the breathalyzer. Like, that's a pretty big red flag. When you're doing this the right way, you really want to understand the case from the get-go. And you want to make sure that no stone is left unturned. And so, you know, a lawyer is just kind of throwing out prices, you know, without knowing the details. Chances are that's an indication of the work that they're going to do on your case as well. All right, and the number 6 sign that you probably hired the wrong DUI lawyer is that they're guaranteeing an outcome. Huge red flag. Now, I will guarantee the level of service and the experience, right, that our lawyers have or the experience that our clients have with our law firm because I can control that. But I am not at all permitted. Literally, the United States Supreme Court says that lawyers that do what we do cannot guarantee the outcome of a DUI case. So if your lawyer is doing that, then they probably have rent due, right? Like they're just telling you what they think you want to hear in order to get your money, and then they'll deal with those problems later. A terrible, you know, unethical thing to do that could literally get a lawyer disbarred. So guaranteeing an outcome is perhaps the biggest red flag that that lawyer is a little too hungry for your business and is willing to break the rules in a terrible way. The number 5 sign that you hired the wrong DUI lawyer is that they're just grossly underpriced, right? Like you ask 10 lawyers for their price and you have 10 consultations, you might get roughly 10 prices, but they'll probably all cluster around the same area. And that's because guess what? Those of us that have been doing this for years and have handled thousands of cases, we know what it takes to handle your case the right way. And let's just use an example. It might be $5,000, right? Because the average DUI case lasts a year. So if I know that I'm going to be working with you the right way on solving your case for basically the next year, and my price is $5,000 and the next lawyer is $5,000 and maybe the next one's $5,500 and the next one's $4,500, we're all kind of clustering around that price. And then some guy says, I'll do it for $1,500 or $2,000 or $3,000. That's probably a red flag. This guy has not like figured out a magical way to do this for cheaper like he's Walmart. He's literally just not putting in the work. He's just going to take your money, show up to court and whatever, but there's just no way that you're getting the same level of service in this game. In really any service-based business, you get what you pay for. And nothing against those. I'm not talking about anybody in particular, but that is a major red flag if somebody can't, if they can't really compete on the level of service. And so instead, they just drop their service and drop their price. The number 4 sign that you perhaps didn't hire the right lawyer. This one pains me a little bit because I may ruffle some feathers here, but if you've got a lawyer that is doing real estate transactions and divorces in the afternoon, and oh yeah, I'll sue this person for you, and oh yeah, I'm gonna go handle a murder case. Oh, by the way, I'm happy to do your DUI as well. It's probably a red flag, right? Now, there are some very experienced people out there, attorneys out there that are sort of generalists, but man, the law is so specific these days. It's changing so fast. I really, you got to have a focus on DUIs if you're gonna do them right. The law is changing all the time. Think about it. There are tens, hundreds of thousands of DUIs that occur out there. And all those rulings are kind of changing the law, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. But when cases are resolved, the law weaves its way through all those cases. And so I can go pick out individual cases that perhaps are helpful for our clients. And I could just never do that if I was also doing a million other practice areas. So there's a lot to be said about someone who focuses exactly on the case that you have. No different than a doctor, right? Like if you've got brain surgery, you probably don't want the general doctor who will, look at, the bunion on your foot and then also do your brain surgery. That just doesn't feel right, does it? It's the exact same thing when it comes to lawyering. Oh, I love it. I love it. The third sign that you perhaps did not hire the right DUI lawyer is this: they just don't have a lot of reviews, or really, let me even say it better, like a lot of really good, great, amazing reviews online. Now, the one that's sort of the most widely accepted, in my opinion, and it has the most reviews is going to be Google, right? Everyone has a Gmail address. Everyone's familiar with Google. So Google reviews is where it's at. Sorry, but like Yelp gets manipulated. All the lawyer Avo websites and stuff can get manipulated. Google's where it's at. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I don't even pick a restaurant these days without first looking at Google reviews. So if you have a law firm that doesn't have a lot of Google reviews, well then how many clients are they really helping, right? Now, I'm not saying every review needs to be perfect. We are dealing with the law here. People do go to jail. So, and some people go to jail and then blame their lawyer, right? So I'm not saying every review needs to be amazing. But this is something where you can absolutely look at the volume, the number of reviews, the recency of those reviews. Like, is the most recent one like last week or like 2 years ago? Big difference, right? And then also you can look at that overall rating, 5, 4.9, 4.8, 4.7. I think those are probably all the same. Doesn't mean that the 4.8 is better than the 4.7. Who knows? You just gotta sort of do your own, sort of due diligence on that. But big red flag if a lawyer just simply doesn't have enough good Google reviews to make you feel comfortable. The next sign that you've maybe hired the wrong DUI lawyer is that they can't really explain the legal process to you. So somebody who knows this best, like an absolute knowledgeable person on this subject, will be able to explain it at, a level that you can understand, right? Like, let's take a totally different subject, like, I don't know, astrophysicists. I don't even know, right? So like, if I was sitting here trying to explain that to you, you would be like, I couldn't even get through it. I know nothing about that topic. But, if I wanted to explain to you something, how to tie my shoe, I could do that at like a first grade level where you're like, boom, got it, cool, done, no problem, right? So pardon the bad analogies, right? But like, if I am explaining to you the DUI process and you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense, then it's a good sign that I don't truly know it. like the back of my hand, that I'm not dealing with this every day in my sleep. However, if I can explain this complex legal process to you in a way that makes it very bite-sized and understandable for you, it's probably a pretty good sign that I know what the heck I'm talking about. And the number one sign that you've probably hired the wrong DUI lawyer is that you just can't get in touch with them. You can't contact them. This is a real problem. In fact, it is the number one complaint against attorneys, is that he just won't call me back. I just can't seem to talk to my lawyer. And that is a really, really bad sign. Now, they may be good lawyers, but there's a whole second half to this, right? Like, you kind of have paid to know what's going on. You're part of the decision-making process on your case. At least that's the way it should be, I think. And so I'll just tell you, our firm goes to great lengths to do this. We promise our clients will never go more than 2 weeks without us calling them and contacting them about their case. But a lot of lawyers, unfortunately, don't have that system in place. And you may go a month in between court dates where you're calling them and they just never call back. And yeah, it's hard. Like, your case will probably get prolonged. You will lose more sleep over your case, and you're just not sure that you're in the right hands if that's happening to you. All right, I am not telling you that you have the wrong lawyer. I have no idea who your lawyer is, and there are a lot of great, amazing lawyers out there. But if a couple of these really hit home for you, if you're like, yes, that's what I'm talking about, then you may wish to look elsewhere. I'm not saying you got to call our law firm. There's tons of great lawyers out there as public defender, whatever it is you want to do. I just want to make sure that, you have a right to the lawyer of your choosing. And so you should exercise that right and find someone that you're comfortable with, because this is a tough, scary process, and you should make sure that you're in the right hands. Thanks for watching.